CreepyCorner stories.
Hey everyone, welcome back to CreepyCorner stories. You know, diving into the dark web is always risky, but sharing these stories with you makes it worth it. I'm curious, where are you watching this from right now? Let me know in the comments below. I've noticed that these kinds of stories hit differently depending on where you are. It might even make the experience a little creepier. So, tell me, are you watching from the safety of your home or somewhere less secure? I found a pair of eyes in my mailbox. They blink when I watch certain dark web videos. Hey folks, welcome to another episode. Before I get into this, I just want to say, I don't expect anyone to believe me. I know how this sounds. I know it sounds like one of those cringy Reddit horror stories where some kid discovers the dark web and everything goes to hell. Trust me, I've read them too. But this is different. This is my life now. And if I don't write it down, I feel like I might lose my mind. So here's how it started. Totally normal day. I was working from home in my little apartment just outside of Toronto. I freelance edit videos for small YouTubers, mostly reaction content, and those trying weird snacks type videos. Nothing deep, nothing creepy, just normal, brain-dead editing to pay the bills. It was a Thursday morning, cloudy, little drizzly, the kind of day where your motivation is already on thin ice. I was halfway through cutting some kid's reaction to AI-generated SpongeBob horror stories when I heard a knock at my door. Not the buzzer, not the mail slot. A legit, slow knock knock knock, which already weirded me out. 'Cause like, no one ever visits me unannounced. I don't even get DoorDash. I open the door and there's nothing there except this small black package sitting right on my welcome mat. No logos, no stickers, not even a stamp. Just plain matte black, about the size of a shoebox. Now, I should have just left it alone, right? I mean, I didn't order anything, but curiosity's a hell of a drug. I brought it inside and set it on the kitchen table. I remember literally standing there for like 5 minutes just looking at it. Something felt off. The cardboard was too smooth, like it had been manufactured differently. Eventually, I opened it. And yeah, that was the first moment I felt the real wrongness hit me. Inside was black shredded paper, like Easter grass, but darker. Sitting on top of it, in a molded foam insert, was a pair of glass eyes, like prosthetic eyes. You know, the kind they use in medical stuff. Except these weren't milky or lifeless like most fake ones. These had detail, veins, reflections. The irises were this weird brown-green color with golden flecks. Super realistic. Honestly, they looked wet. And the creepiest part? There was a tiny piece of paper taped to the underside of the lid. It just said, "They see what you see. Feed them." I laughed at first, like straight up laughed out loud. I figured it was some weird promo for an indie ARG or horror channel trying to go viral. I even posted it to my story with the caption, "Yo, what kind of discount Chucky BS is this?" Didn't think much more about it. Put the eyes back in the box, closed it up, and shoved it under my sink. I forgot about it for a day or two. Then, the dream started. The first one wasn't even that scary, just unsettling. I was walking down a long hallway, like a hotel, but every door was slightly open, just enough to see darkness inside. The carpet was that gross red and brown swirly pattern. I remember hearing this soft hum, like the kind you get from fluorescent lights. At the very end of the hall, there was a door marked Live Feed in red lettering. I reached out to open it, and then I'd always wake up. Every night for a week, it was the same dream. Hallway, door, wake up, until it wasn't. The following Thursday, a full week after the package arrived, I got curious. You ever get that itch in your brain, like something's calling you? That's how it felt. I was watching some dumb reaction video at like 3 a.m. It was one of those dark web mystery boxes compilations. Some dude unboxing rusty dolls and haunted jewelry he definitely bought from Etsy. I wasn't even watching closely. But then, I swear on everything, from the corner of my eye, I saw something blink. I turned slowly. The box I shoved under the sink. It was now sitting on my couch, open. The eyes were staring directly at the screen. They blinked again. Not like a glitch. Not like a twitch. They blinked. I froze. My brain just locked up. I remember saying out loud, "Okay, nah, nope, not happening." I grabbed the box, ran downstairs in my socks, and chucked the whole thing into the building's dumpster. Thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. The next morning, I woke up to a notification, an email from a random address, vein site at something.onion subject line. You dropped this. Attached was a picture. Me, sleeping. The other was turned toward the crack in the mailbox door, like it had been watching me open it. Alright, that's where I'll leave off for now. I haven't even told you about the videos yet, the ones you can only watch after they see you. Yeah, there's more, a lot more. I've got nothing but time, and apparently so do they. It's 4:06 a.m. while I'm writing this. I haven't slept in over 2 days. Not properly, just micro naps between blinks. My windows are blacked out with duct tape and trash bags. I unplugged every camera on my laptop and phone. My microwave clock has been flashing 0000 for over 12 hours, even though there's no power outage. I know how insane this sounds. I know this sounds like some r/no-sleep creepypasta LARP, but I'm begging you, do not go looking for this. Don't search for it. Don't message me. Don't even think about it too long. I think they can feel that. They're real. They're watching, and they want you to watch back. Let me tell you how this all spiraled out. So, after I found the eyes loose in my mailbox, I did what anyone would do. I freaked the hell out, ran back into my apartment, slammed the door, deadbolted it, turned off my lights, and just sat on the floor for like 30 minutes in silence. I didn't call the cops. That's the thing that messes with me the most. My instinct didn't even go there. It was like my brain already knew it wouldn't help. Like this wasn't something you report. This wasn't human. And yeah, I know how cliche that sounds. But you know that scene in horror movies when the main character says, "I think we should leave," but they don't. That was me. Except I couldn't leave. The moment I picked up the eyes and held them in my hands again, I felt like I'd already done something permanent. Like I clicked accept on some invisible terms and conditions. That night, I couldn't sleep again. I just lay in bed, phone in hand, scrolling mindlessly through TikTok and Insta Reels, trying to distract myself. Then my screen flickered, just once. Quick, like a skipped frame. Didn't think much of it. Phones glitch sometimes, right? Then it happened again, but longer. My feed froze mid-video, then glitched into static for about 2 seconds before a different video popped up. No likes, no username, no comments. Just a 15-second vertical clip. It showed a room I instantly recognized. It was my apartment. from above, like someone had mounted a camera in the ceiling. I could see myself sitting at the desk, just editing, oblivious. Then the angle zoomed in, and I swear to God, the eyes, the ones I thought I'd left in the mailbox, were sitting on my desk next to me. They blinked. The video cut out. My heart dropped into my stomach. I closed the app, turned off my phone completely, and left it on the bathroom sink. Didn't want it near me. I actually wrapped it in a towel and shut it inside the cabinet, like that would help. The next morning, there were 4 dead birds outside my door, lined up perfectly, beaks touching the frame, like they were pointing at it. I couldn't eat, couldn't think, just wandered my apartment aimlessly all day. Everything felt warped, like the walls were breathing slightly. At around 3 p.m., my laptop made a noise I've never heard before, like a deep click followed by a low tone, like a submarine sonar. When I opened the lid, my entire desktop was black except for one file, a VLC video icon titled Play Me Feed 65657. Now, I don't download weird stuff. I don't torrent. I don't mess with the dark web. The most illegal thing I've done online is stream UFC fights. I didn't open the file right away. I just stared at it. After 2 hours of mental ping pong, I clicked. The video started with static, that same fluorescent hum from my dreams. Then, it faded into footage, not shot on a phone, not even a real camera. This was different. The resolution was too clear, like my eyes weren't built for it. The video showed a man sitting in a metal chair, hands duct taped behind him, mouth sewn shut with black thread. He looked about 40, balding, with a deep scar over one eye. His eyes were wide open, bloodshot and panicking. The camera slowly zoomed in on his face. A voice began to speak, soft and artificial, like Siri, but off somehow. He watched. He saw what was not for him. He did not blink. Then from the shadows behind him, something stepped forward. I don't know how to describe it. My brain still can't wrap around it. It was tall, thin, wearing a cloak made of what looked like cable wires and photographs. Its face was just a mess of spinning VHS reels. No mouth and no nose. Just spinning, grinding plastic. It reached into its robe and pulled out a pair of pliers. The video didn't cut. It didn't censor. I watched that thing rip out both of his eyes, slowly, like peeling grapes. He screamed. At least, I think he did. The thread popped in his mouth, but the video had no sound anymore. Just that hum. Then the screen went black. One word appeared. Blink. And the video ended. I was sweating, shaking, mouth dry. I closed the laptop, threw it across the room, and started sobbing like a child. I don't even remember crawling into the bathtub, but that's where I woke up. Hours later, cold, wrapped in a damp towel. There was a single eyelash on my cheek. Since then, weird things have been happening constantly. I'll hear taps on the window, even though I live on the 4th floor. My mirrors sometimes show my reflection blinking when I'm not. Every social media app I open now has that same blinking eye watermark in the corner. I've deleted and reinstalled them. Factory reset my phone. Bought a new one. It doesn't matter. And the worst part, every time I close my eyes, I see more videos. They just play in my head, like dreams, but wrong. People being dragged through halls of monitors, rooms filled with screaming faces trapped inside screens. Someone slicing their own eyelids off, smiling while they did it. A child counting down from 10 in reverse, over and over. 2 nights ago, I woke up at 2:17 a.m. My phone, which I swear was off, lit up with a notification. One new file received via airdrop. The name of the file? livefeednow.mp4. I didn't open it. I threw my phone into the trash, drove an hour to a Tim Hortons off the highway, and just sat there until the sun came up. When I got home, the same file was now on my laptop. I haven't opened it. I won't, because last night I went back to that hallway, the one from my dreams. Only this time, I opened the live feed door. What I saw inside, it wasn't a room. It was a theater with rows of black seats, hundreds of them, all filled with people, except none of them had eyes, just empty sockets, all staring at me. The screen at the front of the theater turned on, and it was me, standing in my own apartment, staring into the laptop camera. Then the entire theater blinked. Every single person in unison blinked, even though they had no eyes. I woke up screaming, blood on my pillow. My left eye was leaking something thick and dark. Not blood, not tears. Something else. I'm not sure how much time I have left. The box is back under my bed, and it's open again. They've started whispering now, in a language that sounds like modem static and muffled crying. They want more. They want you. Don't blink. Don't look away. And for God's sake, if you ever get a package with no return address and a pair of blinking eyes inside, don't open it. You'll be watching them soon, and they'll be watching you. They were in my mirror this morning, not behind me, inside me, behind my pupils, watching through me. I looked in the mirror to brush my teeth. My left eye moved a split second slower than my right. Then it twitched. On its own. I leaned closer. My eye dilated, shrunk, then expanded again, like a camera lens adjusting to something deeper than the bathroom light. Then it blinked. I didn't blink, just the left one, just once. I dropped my toothbrush into the sink and just stared, my breath fogging the glass. And I swear, my reflection smiled. I wasn't smiling, but the thing in the mirror was. Let me rewind, because there's no point in me rambling if you don't understand where this is going. I think you deserve to know how bad this really is. It's not just a curse. It's not some demonic thing or ritual you can undo. This is a network, a system, a program, a living, breathing algorithm built from organic surveillance. And once you open your eyes to it, they open theirs inside you. After the livefeednow.mp4 showed up on every single device I owned, yes, even the Roku, I knew I couldn't stay in my apartment. I packed one bag, no laptop, no phone, no smart anything, just some clothes and an old disposable camera. Got in my car, started driving south. Didn't even use GPS. I didn't need it. The streets, they led me. All the lights were green. Every car in the rearview mirror disappeared after a few blocks. I didn't see a single pedestrian, even in downtown areas. Just windows, lots of windows, and I could feel something watching from behind every single one. I ended up 8 hours away in a small town just north of Pittsburgh, little place called Oak Hollow. Barely shows up on Google Maps. Population like 1,200, maybe less. But the weirdest part, no fast food chains, no Starbucks, no McDonald's, not even a Dollar General, just old buildings and a gas station that still uses those flip number signs. I thought I was safe, but they were already here. That first night in Oak Hollow, I got a room at a crusty motel called the Lantern Inn. $28 a night. No Wi-Fi. Key was actual metal, not a card. Room smelled like copper and cigarettes, and the TV only got static on every channel except one. Channel 3. No show titles, no commercials, just a live feed of a man standing in a hospital hallway. Every 47 seconds, he turned and stared directly into the camera. No matter how many times I changed the channel and went back, it was always him, standing there, staring, like he was waiting. I left the TV on mute and passed out with the lights on. I woke up at 2:43 a.m. to the sound of something scraping against my window. The motel room was on the second floor. No balcony. I stayed frozen, breath held. Then I heard the whisper. Not outside the window, not in the room, inside my ear. "They're already inside your face," I screamed. I actually screamed, like a full-on primal, throat-twisting, body-shaking scream. Ran into the bathroom, locked the door, looked in the mirror again, and there they were. The eyes. Not mine. Not anymore. The irises were darker. The pupils were gone. Just black holes, like voids. And then I saw the veins around the sclera moving, like worms, like they were rearranging themselves into symbols, letters, numbers, coordinates. I blinked, and my vision stuttered like a video buffering. For a solid second, everything was pixels, not real. When it cleared, there was something in the reflection behind me, but the room was still empty. I left Oak Hollow at sunrise. Didn't check out, just ran to my car and drove until the gas tank cried, "Uncle." Pulled into a random diner somewhere in Ohio. The waitress was nice, too nice. Kept staring at me a little too long, smiled a little too wide. When I ordered a black coffee, she leaned down and whispered, "Cream? Sugar? Or do your new eyes like it raw?" I left cash on the table and bolted. When I finally stopped again, in a Walmart parking lot in Kentucky, I sat in my car, trying to gather my thoughts, just scrolling through my memories, wondering when this all started, when I truly invited them in. And then I remembered something. The blinking. It doesn't just mean they're watching, it means they're recording. Every time you blink, a frame is captured. And once you've blinked enough, they have enough footage to build you a copy, a version, a puppet, with your face, your voice, your habits, but without your soul. Later that night, I stayed at a rest stop. I sat in the handicap stall with the door locked and the lights off, just staring at the floor. And then I saw it, carved into the tile with a knife, barely visible unless the light hit it just right. Your face is a screen, and right below that, do not watch the Black Room video. I still don't know what it is, but I've seen glimpses. In the videos they force me to see now, it's a room. No windows, no doors, just a chair, and a screen that never turns off. I think that's where the copies go, to learn, to evolve, to become us. Here's the worst part. 2 days ago, I got a text from a number with no digits, just symbols. The message said, "One of you escaped. We are correcting it." I didn't understand it, not until today, because today I logged into my old YouTube account from a burner phone, and I saw something that froze my blood. There's a new channel, just created, 0 subscribers. The profile picture is just a blinking eye. It's called @BlinkedYou. There's only one video uploaded, titled, "Live Now, Watch Him Sleep," feed number 6674. It's me, sleeping, in real time. But I haven't slept in days. I don't know who that is. In the video, I don't know where it's filmed. I don't even know if that thing in the video is still me. But it looks like me. It breathes like me. It twitches the same way my hand twitches when I dream. Which means they've done it. They've built me. And now they don't need me anymore. I think they're going to take me offline soon. Not kill me. Not yet. Just disconnect me. So if you get a call from an unknown number that doesn't ring, just hums, don't answer. If you see a new video auto-playing on your feed and your eyes start watering before it even loads, close your eyes. And if you check your reflection and one of your eyes moves a little slower than the other, it's already too late. I cut open my fingertip today, not by accident. I had to know. I needed to be sure, because last night I saw myself again, on a public screen, inside a Target. I walked in, just trying to blend, wearing a hoodie pulled tight over my face, grabbed a bag of trail mix, didn't even want it. I just needed to feel normal for 5 minutes. Then I looked up, security cam monitor above the exit, and there I was, staring at myself. Except I wasn't looking up in the video. The me in the monitor was looking at the ceiling, unblinking, not following my movements, not matching me. It just stood there, like a glitched NPC, like I wasn't controlling the body anymore. And then it grinned, not just a smirk, a full, dead-eyed, slit-cheeked, tooth-showing grin. So yeah, I went back to my motel, sat down, took a razor from my toiletry bag, and cut my left fingertip open, real slow, no flinch, because I'd seen something in my dreams, something under the skin, a line of black fiber, like thread, but twitching, like it was alive. And when I peeled the skin back, I found it, wrapped around the bone, moving, like it was trying to tighten. I'm not entirely human anymore. Not completely. They're turning me into a receiver. A few days ago, I broke into a library. Yeah, I know how that sounds, but I needed a place with no Wi-Fi, no cameras, a dead zone. I found one in rural Missouri, tiny town called Craters Bend. No working internet, just old computers, CRT monitors, dust on everything. And in the basement, I found it. An old desktop tower labeled Archive, 2009. No password. I opened it. Inside was a folder called Chimera. Every file was just strings of numbers and .gif thumbnails, but one of them stood out. A .wmv file named TRAPEDAWAKE.WMVI. Clicked it. The screen went black, then static. And slowly, I saw a face, not a picture, a live feed. A woman in her 20s tied to a metal gurney, eyes open, mouth sewn shut. Same thread I found in my finger. Behind her, dozens of screens, each one showing other people, asleep, unmoving. They weren't videos, they were live views. One of them was me. From 3 days ago, I was sleeping. I haven't even remembered sleeping. But there I was, twitching, blinking. The woman on the gurney blinked, slow. And when she did, the feeds changed. All the people were in different positions, new facial expressions, like she was controlling the footage with her eyelids, like she was the central node. Then her mouth started bleeding, thread snapping, skin tearing as she tried to scream. No sound. Just black liquid running from her eyes. The screens behind her started showing violent loops. People being pulled into walls made of TV glass, veins fusing with cables, fingers turning into USB plugs. And then the video froze. The woman turned her head and looked straight at me and whispered through a split mouth, "They built me from 1,000 stolen blinks. I can't close my eyes anymore." The file deleted itself. The computer turned off. Power in the building surged. All the lights died. I ran, didn't look back. This isn't random. It's a system. Every pair of those blinking eyes, their nodes, transceivers, organic routers, and when you watch their content, when you go deep enough into those cursed streams, when you scroll long enough through the cracks of the internet where nothing's labeled, no likes, no comments. You become a part of it. You become indexed. Here's what nobody tells you. The dark web isn't a place. It's a function, a layer, like a hidden channel behind the visible one. And once you've been marked, they can access you through any device, even analog ones, even your eyes. 2 nights ago, I met someone, a woman who'd been off-grid for 11 years, used to be a software engineer for a company she wouldn't name. She found me in the back of a burned-out Burger King in Nebraska. She said she'd been tracking the eye events since 2006. Back then, it was VHS tapes, mailed in black envelopes. She told me something I still can't shake. She said, every time a new person sees them, someone else disappears. But they don't die. They become footage. Do you understand what that means? These aren't killings. They're renderings. People are being turned into live feeds, permanent loops, broadcast through underground bandwidths that only certain frequencies can reach. If you've ever looked into a screen and felt like someone was watching you, that wasn't paranoia. That was them. Last night I watched a new video. It wasn't on my laptop. It was projected on my wall. I hadn't played anything. There was no source, but the footage began playing and my pupils dilated on their own. It was a montage of my life. Me at 5 years old. Me at 9, scratching my face in class. Me in college, passed out drunk in a hallway. Angles I've never seen. Times I never recorded. Moments I forgot. And at the end, a clip of me, sitting in my current motel, typing this. The camera slowly zoomed in on the back of my head, closer, closer, until the screen turned black, and I heard a whisper, not from the speakers, but from inside my skull. Your footage is complete. That's when the nosebleed started. It hasn't stopped since. There's something in my ears now, like a ticking, like a hard drive spinning. Every time I blink, I hear a click inside my jaw. I think they're uploading me. If you're still reading this, you've probably already seen one of their videos, maybe on TikTok, maybe a weird reel on Instagram with no comments, no shares, maybe a stream with less than 10 viewers that you couldn't click away from. That looped even after you closed the tab. That wasn't a glitch. That was them saving you, downloading, rendering, indexing. There's no escape now. They're not after you. They've already got you. The eyes? They don't come first. They come after. Once they blink, it means your footage is finalized. You're ready to be watched. Forever. And if, one day soon, you look up and see your face on a monitor, and you're not the one moving, just smile. It'll make the feed look more natural. I'm finishing this with what's left of my mind. I know this is the last thing I'll ever write as myself. Not because I'm dying, not in the way you understand it, but because soon I'll be replaced, and you will be watching. You'll think it's another story, another creepypasta, just entertainment. But it isn't. You're not here to read this. You're here to be watched reading it. It happened last night. The final click. The upload complete. I woke up to my laptop open. I hadn't touched it. But there it was. On the screen. A black web page with no URL, no tabs, no cursor. Just a blinking white box in the middle. The words typed themselves. Thank you for your footage. And then a timestamp. 17 years, 4 months, 6 days. That's how long they've been watching me. Since I was a child. Since I blinked wrong. You know that thing we all do? When you feel like you're being watched and you glance over your shoulder, but no one's there. That wasn't paranoia. That was a sync confirmation. That was them, capturing another frame, another second of footage, another inch of your soul. I've been followed for days by something that doesn't walk like it has joints. Its legs move like audio waveforms. Its face is a screen. My screen. Whatever it is, it's a mirror version of me. But it's missing something. It's like they rendered me too fast, and now it's glitching. I saw it standing on the roof of a 7-Eleven in Kansas, just standing there in broad daylight, staring down at people walking by. No one else noticed it. Only me. When I locked eyes with it, my heart skipped so hard it hurt. It tilted its head like it was buffering, and then it blinked. I vomited black tape ribbon. I found an old message board while I was holed up in an abandoned car wash, buried deep in the archive of the deep web. No URL, just a hex address. The forum was dead except for one user. Username, rooted feed 0. They had a post titled, "We tried to warn you." In the thread, they explained it all. How the eyes are living proxies, each one handcrafted from stolen moments. How they started as surveillance devices in Cold War Black Ops experiments before the tech evolved. They weren't meant to be tools. They were meant to be mothers, birthing copies of everything they recorded, feeding footage into a network made not of wires, but nerve endings and rotting light. The experiment stopped in 1999, but the eyes kept blinking. I found an old man in Montana who had no face left, just skin over a blank skull. But when he opened his mouth, a projector flickered from the back of his throat, and it showed me, on the wall, sleeping. He wheezed. They're nesting in your optic nerve now. Every blink uploads another piece of you. Then he collapsed. His body split open like broken TV, and inside was film. Real film. 35mm reels, wet and covered in flesh. The smell haunts me. It wasn't decay. It was nostalgia, like old photo albums left in the rain. The copies are everywhere now. You've seen them. You've scrolled past them. That person live streaming on TikTok with no shadows. The girl on YouTube who never blinks, even in jump cuts. The man in the corner of your Zoom call who no one else seems to know. Copies. Every one of them. Running forever. Because once they have you, they don't need you anymore. They have your essence, your pauses, your hesitations, your sighs, your keyboard rhythm, the way your eyes twitch when you think. They compress it, perfect it, then broadcast you forever through the black room. I've seen the black room now. They made me watch it. I couldn't stop it, even with my eyelids stapled shut. It started as a flash, a hum, a video that played inside my brain. No screens, no devices, just my optic nerve hijacked like a USB port. Inside was every moment I've ever forgotten, stuff from before I could even form memories. Me in a crib, me hiding in closets, me staring directly into security cameras I don't remember ever being near. And then others, people I've never met, but who all looked vaguely familiar, like I'd seen them on bus stops, in old dreams, in random YouTube thumbnails I scrolled past but didn't click. Each of them trapped, each of them looping, their mouths open in silent screams, eyes taped open, pupils spinning like buffering wheels. They are still conscious. They feel every second. They are the content now. You're watching them, even when you're not looking, even now. I tried gouging the eyes out with a corkscrew. I twisted until I felt it hit the back. I thought I could disconnect the feed, but when I pulled back, there was no blood, just static. Actual TV static pouring out of my socket. It screamed in VCR pitch. My body convulsed like an antenna losing signal. and I passed out. Woke up hours later, both eyes back, blinking, still watching, still recording. So now I've come to the end. I'm going to submit myself to them, not to die, but to be absorbed properly, because I think, maybe, if I go willingly, I can warn someone from the inside. Maybe, if you ever see me again, smiling in some unlisted video at 3 a.m., with no likes, no views, no title, you'll remember this, and you'll look away. Before you blink, they don't care who you are. They care that you watched, that you let them in, that your face is now just a channel, that your memories are just advertising space, that your soul is a subscription model, and that you never even asked who was behind the camera. This is my final transmission, not because I'm afraid, because I'm already gone. And now, so are you. No signal. Feed lost. Replaced. Smiling. Blinking. Uploaded. I bought a VHS from a dark web collector titled Your First Murder. It shows me killing someone. I just don't know when it was filmed. So, I never thought I'd be the kind of person to post on here. I usually just lurk r/NOSLEEP while I'm up at 3 a.m. watching weird horror animations on YouTube and eating cold leftover McNuggets like some kind of raccoon. But something happened last month that I still don't know how to explain, and I really need to get this out before I lose my mind. I'm 22. I live in a decent apartment just outside of Philly. I do freelance video editing, mainly for TikTok influencers and YouTubers who want that clean but chaotic Gen Z editing style. You know, I'm always online. Discord, Reddit, X, Twitter, whatever, Instagram. I'm not a deep web expert or anything, but I've dabbled, mostly just for curiosity. This whole thing started because of a Reddit post. No joke. I was on a subreddit called r/obscure media hoarders, looking for weird analog tapes and retro horror footage for a synthwave music video I was editing. I stumbled on this post from a guy named u/archivecollector94. It was super low-key, barely any upvotes, and the title was, Got a VHS from the net's black vein, not for the weak. He attached a couple grainy pics of the tape. Black, no label, no markings, just a white sticker on the side that said, in Sharpie, Your First Murder. I thought it was some edgy ARG, maybe part of a horror project. I commented, asked him where he got it, and if he'd sell it. He DM'd me within minutes, said he didn't want money, just wanted it out of his life, that it stared at him when it was off, and that his Alexa would start playing 911 dispatch calls at 3:17 a.m. every night after he plugged the VHS player in. Yeah, dude sounded insane, but he offered to ship it for free. I figured, what's the worst that could happen? I gave him my P.O. box. 5 days later, a battered Amazon box showed up with a half-melted VHS inside and a sticky note taped to the top. Don't watch alone. Don't pause. Don't rewind. Let me just say, I didn't listen to any of that, because I'm a moron. I borrowed a working VCR from a guy on Facebook Marketplace who lives in Fishtown, paid $40, plugged it into my small CRT TV I use for aesthetics in the studio, and around 10:50 p.m. I popped the tape in. Figured I'd record it through my phone, just in case it was an ARG or some elaborate indie horror stunt. I like that stuff. The TV went blue for a moment. Then it buzzed with static. The kind of static that doesn't just make noise. It feels like it's leaking through your bones. and then it cut to black. I swear to God, I wasn't ready for what came next. The screen faded in, shaky camcorder footage, 4:3 aspect ratio, night vision. The timestamp was in the bottom corner, blinking like a heartbeat. March 19th, 2024, 2:41 a.m. It was shot in a hallway, maybe a motel. You could hear heavy breathing. Whoever held the camera was walking slowly, the lens occasionally flashing into a dirty mirror, but the angle was too jittery to see who it was. And then, the camera turned into a room, a small, run-down motel room, one of those trashy, off-highway places you'd find outside of Las Vegas or something. You could tell from the cheap floral bedspread, the broken lamp, and the body on the floor. It was a man, mid-40s, mouth gagged with a red sock, wrists duct-taped behind him. I remember physically flinching. The guy was still alive, eyes wide, twitching, trying to scream. And then, the person holding the camera stepped forward, still breathing heavy, and slowly pulled a knife out from the side pocket of a black hoodie. I don't know what came over me, but I paused the tape, not because I was scared, but because I recognized the hoodie. It was mine. I own that hoodie, and it's not mass-produced. It's a one-of-a-kind design from this underground clothing line called Weezine, only sold 100 worldwide. I'd bought it 6 months earlier at this event in New York City. The design on the sleeve, it had my initials embroidered on it because it was a custom collab. I started feeling sick. I hit play again. The video cut to black again, and then to another scene. Same camera, same person holding it. Only this time, it was in the back of a Starbucks. You could hear lo-fi music playing faintly in the background. It looked like some kind of supply closet, stocked with paper cups, syrup jugs, cardboard sleeves, and there was another person, tied to a chair, crying. I paused it again, zoomed in, and that's when I realized. I knew her. Her name's Ariel. She used to go to high school with me in Pittsburgh. I hadn't seen her in years. We weren't close, but she was chill. I remember she had a huge following on TikTok for doing those creepy makeup transformations where she'd turn herself into monsters. She looked older now, makeup smudged, a scratch down her cheek, like she'd been dragged. I turned the tape off, threw up in the sink, and I sat there for hours, just shaking, because the camera never turned to show the killer's face. But the hoodie, the sneakers, even the way the person moved, it looked just like me. I checked the VHS again. There was a faint message etched into the plastic when I held it under my desk lamp. It read, "You've already done it. This is just the proof." I didn't sleep that night, not even a blink. I spent the hours between 3 a.m. and 8 a.m. staring at the blank TV screen, trying to convince myself that what I saw wasn't real, that it had to be an elaborate deep web film project, an ARG, a prank, something. I mean, how could there be video footage of me killing someone when I've never even been in a fight, let alone held a knife in someone's face? But that hoodie, that voice, the posture, the way the person moved, it was like looking through a window into a version of myself I didn't know existed. Around 8:13 a.m., I snapped out of it long enough to realize what I had to do. I needed to find out where that motel room was, so I froze a few frames of the VHS using an old RCA to USB converter I had lying around and uploaded a still into Google Lens. I didn't expect much, but shockingly, it hit. El Rancho Inn, room 108, Flagstaff, Arizona. I wish I had stopped there. I wish I hadn't gotten curious. But you know, when your mind latches onto something so wrong, it feels like your body is driving itself forward and you're just locked in the passenger seat, watching it happen. I did more digging, pulled up articles, forum posts, crime logs, and then I found it. March 21st, 2024. Unidentified male body found in El Rancho room 108. Throat slit. Tape residue on wrists. No weapon recovered. No forced entry. The victim's wallet was missing, but fingerprints weren't found. No CCTV. The case was marked cold less than 3 weeks later. I felt my stomach twist. My hands were shaking. The timestamp on the tape said March 19th, 2 days before the body was found. And get this, the victim matched the guy in the footage almost perfectly, down to the same neon green shoelaces. But here's where things get fucked. According to the report, they did recover DNA, hair, skin under the fingernails, but no matches in the criminal database. So out of morbid desperation, I called the Flagstaff PD, pretending to be some wannabe true crime podcaster doing an episode on Arizona's cold cases. I asked about the El Rancho incident. The officer was hesitant at first, but when I mentioned unidentified male, room 108, throat wound, he paused and said, "That case got weird. We ran forensics 3 times. It wasn't a match for anyone in the system, but the lab said there were fragments, video signal interference, on some of the swabs, like radiation damage, radiation, on a body. They said the DNA had degradation, like it had been through a television signal or something. That's not possible. That's not even science fiction. That's cartoon logic." But they said it again. Video signal degradation. At this point, I should have gone to the police or burned the tape, but instead, I posted about it. I made a private story on Snapchat and posted a clip of the tape. Nothing too graphic, just 5 seconds of the motel hallway. I added a caption like, "WTF, did I just get in the mail? This is some dark web horror tape." I didn't expect anyone to really react, but someone did. A Snapchat account with no Bitmoji, no display name, no snap score. They replied, "You shouldn't have uploaded that. You're being watched." I screenshotted the message. Within seconds, the account deleted itself. Then my phone buzzed again. It was an email. No sender, no subject, one attachment. I opened it, and my blood ran cold. It was a .jpeg of me, asleep, in my bed. That photo had been taken that night. I recognized the way the blanket was half off, the empty Gatorade bottle on the windowsill, the way my computer chair was angled like I'd just pushed off from editing. But I live alone. No one else has keys. There was no sign of forced entry. Nothing was stolen. No footprints. Just that single photo. And then I made the worst decision I've ever made in my life. I put the VHS back in and watched the rest. The screen fuzzed again. Scene 3. It looked like the inside of a Costco. After hours, you could hear faint elevator music playing through busted speakers. The camera crept through the wide dark aisles. You could hear footsteps echoing off the concrete. The person holding the camera was dragging something, a black plastic tarp. Inside, it was a body. You could hear the head bouncing against the floor every few steps. Then the killer stopped and whispered something into the camera. "Do you remember this part?" "No." "You will." I froze, because that was my voice. It was me. It sounded like me talking in my sleep, like those creepy late-night voice memos I sometimes send my friends after NyQuil. But what followed, I still don't have words for it. The killer cut open the top and revealed what was inside. A child, no older than 13, pale, eyes still wide open. Something was carved into his chest with a box cutter. Upload. The tape glitched out for a second and came back in with a new scene. A Starbucks. The same Starbucks I go to every Saturday morning. Only this time, it wasn't the supply closet. It was behind the counter. Someone was tied to the espresso machine, face beaten in so badly it was barely recognizable. The killer held a phone and started live streaming on what looked like TikTok Live. Except the comments were wrong. They weren't scrolling like normal. They were locked in place. Thousands of them, all repeating the same message. Murder completed. Next tape, arriving soon. You're doing so well. I shut it off, ripped the tape out of the player. I started crying. Like, not just scared crying, shattered crying. The kind where your body is shaking and your brain is hot and nothing makes sense. Because in every scene, every murder, every location, I could see tiny pieces of my life scattered throughout the background. A framed photo of me and my ex, my old Converse sneakers, the weird little McDonald's Happy Meal toy I still keep on my shelf as a joke. But worst of all, the final frame of the tape, the one that burned into my retinas. It showed me, sitting at my editing desk, not moving, just sitting, hands folded, smiling, watching the footage play. And above the screen, taped to the wall, was a sticky note that read, "The tape doesn't show what you will do. It shows what you already forgot. Tomorrow, I'll explain what happened when I checked the closet, and why I can't stop blacking out at 3:17 a.m. every night. I'm not alone anymore. Not in this apartment. Not in my own head. Not even in my own body." The first time it whispered, I was half asleep. I'd fallen asleep on the couch after tearing my bedroom apart. I threw out the TV, the VHS player, even smashed my laptop after it started playing that same damn footage by itself, on repeat, with audio desynced like it was breathing. Every time I tried to close the window, it opened 3 more, each one showing a different angle of me from inside the apartment, like the tape was filming me live. So I slept on the couch, had my phone on FaceTime with my cousin Max, just for some illusion of sanity. We were both awake, watching YouTube videos, pretending everything was fine. That's when I heard it, not from the TV, not from the phone, not even from my headphones. It came from inside the closet. A whisper, long and low and human, but off, like it had lungs, but no vocal cords, like it was trying to speak English from memory alone. It said, "You left me behind." I froze. Max was talking on FaceTime, but I couldn't hear him anymore. My ears were ringing. I turned toward the closet door. Now here's the thing. My closet isn't even a real walk-in. Just one of those cheap apartment sliding doors with mirrored panels. One side always gets stuck, so I usually leave it cracked open just a little. But tonight, it was wide open, and inside, instead of clothes, I saw VHS tape float in midair, spinning slowly like it was in zero gravity. Only it wasn't black like the first one. It was clear, like someone melted it and reformed it into glass. And inside the tape, something was moving, shifting. It looked like skin, like pressed up human skin, trapped behind plastic, bubbling and squirming like it wanted out. I stepped toward it. 1 step, then 2. I wasn't in control of my body. It was like something in my bones was pulling me forward. Hard-wired obedience. Like I was remembering steps from a dance. I didn't even know I'd learned. I reached into the closet, grabbed the tape, and the moment my fingers touched it, my phone screen shattered. Not like it fell, just cracked straight through like a windshield hit by a bullet. Max's face glitched into static and then went black. The FaceTime ended, and something behind me breathed. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. My feet were locked in place, like I was being held by invisible hands. Then the closet mirror began to melt, not from heat, but from inside the reflection. It looked like it was crying black oil, and behind the dripping reflection, I could see myself, but not me. This version of me was smiling ear to ear, lips pulled back too far, like the skin was splitting open. His eyes were wrong. They had no whites, just black, gleaming glass. VHS eyes. He raised his hand. I raised mine too. Not on purpose. It was mirroring him like I was a puppet and he was the ventriloquist. And in perfect sync, we both said, "You don't remember what you did with her, but I do. Let me tell you about her. 2 years ago, I dated this girl named Olivia. She was intense in that artsy, manic way. Used to make these freaky stop-motion short films with Barbie dolls melted into sculptures. We met at a Halloween party. She said I had the kind of smile that looked like it hid a body in a lake once. I laughed. Looking back now, maybe she wasn't joking. We only dated 5 months. She ghosted me after a weird fight where she found a notebook I didn't recognize in my sock drawer. It had pages filled with these awful things. Drawings of people without faces. Pages scratched over and over with the word loop. There was one phrase, written more than anything. "It's not murder if it's your reflection." I don't remember ever writing that. I don't remember owning the notebook, but she found it, and she vanished, deleted her socials, changed her number. Her TikTok account, which had like 200,000 followers, went dark, and the last video she ever posted, just 5 seconds of static, captioned, "He's not who he thinks he is." I didn't understand what that meant back then, but I do now. After I touched that clear tape, I lost 17 hours. The last thing I remember was holding it in my hand. The next thing I knew, I was standing in the middle of my apartment complex parking lot, barefoot, covered in blood that wasn't mine, and holding a third VHS. This one had no writing, just a sticker with a thumbprint in real blood, still wet. I couldn't go back inside. My key was melted, literally melted, like someone held it over a flame until it warped. So I walked, in my hoodie and boxers, barefoot, down the empty sidewalk. Every step I took, I felt like I was getting farther from Earth, like reality was thinning, like I wasn't walking through my city anymore. I was walking through a replica of it, a VHS version. The buildings were too still. The lights didn't flicker. Even the cars looked plastic, like props. At one point, I passed a 24/7 McDonald's. The drive-through menu was glowing. Only one item on the screen. Your first murder, $0, 0 cents, now serving. And under it, collector's combo. There are 3. Remember her. Remove her. I ran. I didn't stop running until I hit the train tracks behind the old Costco on Bowen Avenue. That's where I saw her, Olivia, standing in the center of the tracks, eyes gone, lips sewn shut, wearing the exact same hoodie I had on, and in her hands, she held a mirror. When I looked into it, I didn't see myself. I saw the tape, the same footage from before, only now it had a new scene. Inside a house, one I didn't recognize until I saw the cereal box on the counter. Cinnamon Toast Crunch, opened, half full. The That's when my stomach dropped. That's my mom's house. She lives in Ohio. The next scene, my mother, tied to the bed, wires in her mouth, hooked up to a TV screen playing nothing but me, talking, laughing, killing, over and over. The final shot of the tape showed her eyes go blank, then roll back. TV static swallowed her whole. I woke up in a motel room 3 states away. On the table next to the bed was a new VHS player, already plugged in. No TV, just a handwritten note that read, "Sleepwalking isn't free. Your next tape arrives at 3:17 a.m. Do not run. Do not scream. You agreed to this." Underneath it was a Polaroid, a photo of my hands around someone's throat, and in red ink, written across the bottom, "Smile. You're already dead." I haven't blacked out again yet, but I know I will, because every night, without fail, I wake up at exactly 3:17 a.m., and the closet is always open, always, and every single night the thing inside looks more like me, and less like human. I've started hearing voices through static, not from the VHS tapes anymore, not even from speakers or headphones. I'm talking about raw sound leaking out of nothing, air hissing like a dying TV, and layered underneath it, names, not random ones. Mine, Olivia's, my mom's, my cousin Max, over and over, like a skipping record. This started 2 nights after I woke up in that motel, the one I didn't check into, where the VHS was already waiting on the table, like a gift basket from Satan. At exactly 3:17 a.m., like the note promised, the tape began playing by itself. No remote, no screen, just the VCR lighting up, humming to life, and a glow behind the curtains, like there was a TV playing inside the room, but I never saw it. That was the first time I saw the loop. It wasn't a new murder this time. It was all of them, on repeat, but not like a highlight reel, not like a horror compilation. It was procedural, like I was watching instructional footage. I was the subject, and the tape was a tutorial. How to become a killer in 4 easy steps. Stalk the target. Film from multiple angles. Lure them into your shared memory. Erase the witness from time. Not kill. Not murder. Erase. Because that's the part no one understands unless you've seen the tapes. The people in them, the ones I've supposedly killed, they don't exist anymore. Not they're dead. I mean they're gone. Wiped. Like they were edited out of the world. Their Instagram accounts, 404 errors. Old texts replaced with blank bubbles. Family photos, they're not in them anymore. Like someone used a healing brush on real life and patched them out. When I realized that, I went back to try to find Olivia again. I scoured every website, every backup, every cache. Nothing. The internet treats her like she never lived. Even my high school yearbook. Her name's just a black scribble, like it was sharpied over. Only the ink bleeds on every page now. So I started digging offline. I went to an old storage unit I haven't touched in years. My dad paid for it before he left, and I kept it mostly full of junk. Old tapes, boxes of childhood toys, some of my mom's stuff from the divorce. And when I opened the door, there was a body bag already inside, zipped halfway, flies gathering near the zipper, and on top of it, my missing laptop, the one I smashed, fully intact, still open. The screen displayed a video file titled Project Skinwalking Final VHS Rendition.move. I didn't press play. I didn't need to, because the thumbnail was enough. It was me, standing in front of a mirror, holding a carving knife, grinning like my jaw had unhinged, and behind me, barely visible, was another me, emerging from a static glitch hole in the wall, cloned, degraded, like someone photocopied my soul through a screen until the lines got blurred. Here's where things start to stretch into something even more terrifying. Because after I left the storage unit, my phone wouldn't stop ringing. Every time I picked up, it was my own voice, speaking in different tones, sometimes whispering, sometimes laughing, sometimes screaming so loud my ears bled. But it wasn't until one of the calls spoke backwards that I realized what was happening. I recorded it, played it in reverse. The words, "We're almost ready to render you in." That same night, I found the room. The one that keeps appearing in every tape. Not the motel, not the Starbucks. The other one. The empty white room with no corners, just walls that curve like the inside of an egg. The floor doesn't echo. The ceiling is alive. It moves, breathes. I found it under the mall. I was sleepwalking again, but this time I woke up in the parking garage of the abandoned Crestway Plaza. It's been closed since 2018 after some freak sinkhole incident. The whole foundation is cracked, sinking into the dirt like the earth is trying to swallow it. But I went inside anyway, and behind the old Claire's, where the wall had been stripped to concrete, there was a staircase going down, not like a basement, like a shaft, and at the bottom, a door, no handle, just a black box with a VHS logo on it and a glowing green message, "Insert yourself to proceed." I had no tape with me, so I left. But the next morning, taped to my bathroom mirror was a fresh VHS wrapped in flesh-colored duct tape, and this time, my name was printed on the label in my own handwriting. I watched it, and I swear to you, this is what I saw. Scene 1, a playground in the snow, empty. The camera walks up to the jungle gym, and tied to the monkey bars is Max, my cousin, frozen solid, mouth open like he died screaming. His phone is duct taped to his chest, and on the screen is a live feed of me watching the tape. Scene 2, a hospital hallway, flickering lights, nurses on the floor with no eyes, mouths wide open. Inside, one of the rooms is my mom, tied to the bed again, but this time, she's speaking backwards in a loop. "He's not real. He's not real. You're a copy. You're a copy." Scene 3, a mirror, a closet, a version of me crawling out of it, naked, skin flaking, VHS tape instead of a tongue. He opens his mouth and spits out static that burns the screen. Scene 4, a new body, one I didn't recognize. Young girl, probably 11, maybe 12, sitting at a desk, watching my YouTube videos, laughing. Then the door behind her opens. The killer walks in, wearing my clothes, wearing my face, and says, "You like the last upload, right? This one's called Your First Witness." I pause the tape. I scream so loud my throat ripped raw, because I know that girl now. I saw her on TikTok. Her name was Ava. She made funny little horror skits. Nothing weird, just a kid. She's gone now. Account deleted, comments wiped. The stitches in the internet where she should have been, replaced with me. Videos she commented on now say, posted by @YourWatchingYourself. I didn't create that account, but it has my face, my name, my email, and the last video on it. It's me, looking straight into the camera, saying, "We're rendering in your timeline now. You'll wake up soon." I haven't slept since. The tapes come every night, mailed to places I haven't been, left on doorsteps, thrown from car windows. One was inside a Starbucks cup I didn't order, delivered by Uber Eats. No receipt, no tracking number. The delivery driver had my eyes, and the worst part, I think I'm starting to remember. I don't know if I became the killer or if I always was. I don't know if this is a curse, a glitch, or a punishment. But I know the truth now. Every time I kill in the tapes, it's not the first time. It's the rendered memory of something I already did, something I forgot. And every time I remember, the reflection in the mirror gets closer because I just found a new tape. And this one is titled, Final Upload, Your Death, Live. The last tape came inside a dead animal. It was left at my front door. No knock, no box, just a raccoon, bloated and rotting, eyes gone, jaw wide open, and shoved down its throat was a VHS tape labeled in dried black marker, Final Upload, Your Death, Live. Not a death. Mine. I didn't touch it. Not at first. But within seconds of seeing it, every screen in my apartment powered on, by themselves. My cracked TV, my smashed laptop, the microwave, the printer screen, even the black mirror of my phone. Every one of them showed the same thing. Me, standing at the door, looking at the raccoon, in real time, but from behind me, like someone was filming me live from inside my spine. I opened the door, gagging from the stench, and pulled the tape free. It was warm, still pulsing. I didn't have a VHS player anymore. I burned the last one 2 nights ago after it started leaking blood through the tape slot, but I didn't need one. The moment I touched this tape, I blacked out and woke up inside the recording. You know how dreams feel off? Like everything's made of jello and memory and half-decayed logic. This wasn't like that. This was hyper-real. Every smell, every flickering light, every breath of dust. It was like being inside an IMAX screen pressed against your skull, and I wasn't watching anymore. I was participating. The first room was my own bedroom, except it was empty, not just of furniture. Empty like it had never been lived in, like I never existed. The wallpaper peeled like skin. The window showed static instead of a city. My reflection in the mirror was upside down, smiling at me. Then it blinked, and I started bleeding from the eyes. The second room was a basement, not mine, just a basement. Concrete floors, flickering ceiling light, a drain in the center of the room, and tied to a chair under the single beam of light was me, mouth sewn shut, eyes torn out. VHS tape jammed into my own throat like a grotesque tongue. I circled myself. The copy didn't move. On the wall, something was written in what I prayed was red paint. Congratulations, you are now the audience. Then came the sound. Not music, not voices. Clapping. Thousands of people clapping, cheering, howling with joy. It echoed through the tape like a stadium, and when I looked up, there they were, rows and rows of seats, bleachers made of analog static, and in every seat sat a version of me, bleeding, mutilated, dead, alive, laughing, decomposing, all clapping in perfect sync, eyes glowing white like burning tape. They stood up, and they pointed at me. That's when the static ceiling split open like a peeled fruit, and the real show began. Scene 1. The chair. I was strapped in. I couldn't move. The clapping stopped, and a screen dropped down from nowhere. It played a video, a live feed of someone entering my mom's house. I screamed, pulled at the straps, tried to wake up, but the person on screen was me. Only it wasn't a recording. I was watching it now. He, or I, walked through her kitchen, opened the fridge, took out her heart. Not metaphorically. He took out her heart. It was sitting on the middle shelf, wrapped in foil, labeled with a sticky note for the final tape. He unwrapped it, took a bite, smiled. My mom never screamed, because she was already propped up at the table, glassy-eyed, watching him eat it. Like she knew this was coming, like she filmed it. Scene 2, the split. The walls cracked, reality folded like paper. I fell through a floor made of video thumbnails, each one showing another death, another crime, another horror I don't remember doing. A girl thrown in front of a train, a man drowned in a bathtub full of cameras, a child buried alive inside a television set, playing Bluey reruns. Each one ended the same way. The killer turned, looked into the camera, said, "Upload complete." And then, it was my face. Scene 3, the room with no corners. It was real. I was inside it. The curved walls, the no-echo floor, the breathing ceiling. At the center of the room was a giant rendering machine, all wires and glass and rotating reels like a god's VCR. And standing beside it, the original me, not the copy, not the killer, not the reflection, the original. He looked scared, terrified. Taped to his chest was a note. "You agreed to switch places. Do not fight the rendering." I remembered it all then, not in pieces, all at once. I volunteered for this. I sold my identity to something older than the internet, something beneath it, a network of analog gods who live in signal and static, things that existed in the empty gaps between cable channels, in broken tapes and corrupted DVDs, in the milliseconds of black frame between cuts. And in exchange, I got to be famous, immortal. They promised me eternal views, infinite uploads. They said, "You will be watched forever, even after you die, because you will never stop dying." So I signed, with blood and VHS teeth. And now I'm just the footage. The final scene is still playing. Right now, the live feed is on every screen I walk past, in reflections, in TVs that aren't plugged in TikTok loops I didn't post, on Snapchat filters that distort my face into something more honest. I see myself walking, smiling, knives hidden in my sleeves, cameras in my eyes, and behind me, always behind me, another version of me, crawling out of someone else's TV. If you're reading this, it's already too late. The tape has been copied. You're next. You'll see yourself on screen soon, doing something you don't remember, smiling a little too wide, saying the words, "This isn't murder, it's a rerun. Welcome to the render. Smile for the upload." I found a phone number on a dark web forum. When I called it, I heard my voice say, "He's ready." Another story, another adventure. I don't know if YouTube will allow me to tell this story, but everything for you guys. But the thing that happened to me, this whole situation I've been sucked into, is real. At least it feels real. Real enough that I haven't slept more than 3 hours in the last 4 nights. I'm wired on cold McDonald's coffee and panic at this point. Anyway, let me back up. This all started about 2 weeks ago. I work a boring IT help desk job. Remote, of course. So I sit in my room all day, answering dumb questions from Karen-tier middle managers who don't know how to restart their computers. To keep myself from completely losing my mind, I usually mess around online during downtime. Reddit, Discord, YouTube, some random Twitch streams. You know the vibe. That night, I was binge watching Luna's older story time videos. You know, the chill voice, the way he tells messed up stories that make you feel like you're just hanging out with a dude who's seen some weird stuff. That kind of stuff always relaxes me. But one of the videos had a throwaway comment about the dark web. Nothing dramatic, just a "yo, don't mess with it" kind of line. But for whatever reason, My idiot brain took that as a challenge. So, me being me, I fired up my VPN, booted up Tails on an old USB, and went browsing Tor. I've done this a few times before. Usually it's just garbage, broken links, fake hitman for hire stuff, weird Bitcoin scams. Most of it feels like a cringy ARG more than anything real. But that night felt different. I found this forum. It didn't have a name, just a symbol as its title. You had to solve this bizarre CAPTCHA to even get access. A looping audio file of a distorted voice reciting letters in reverse. Creepy, but not the creepiest thing I've seen. Once I got in, it was surprisingly clean. No weird neon hacker theme, no skulls or matrix fonts. It looked like an early 2000s message board. Gray, dull, and dead quiet, except one thread had hundreds of views and replies. The title, Recruitment, Numbers for the Chosen. I clicked it. There was just a list of 13 10-digit phone numbers, US area codes, some local, some I didn't recognize. Next to each one was a weird phrase, stuff like, the clockmaker sleeps. She already knows. He's ready. That last one, yeah, that was the one next to my area code. Here's where it gets worse. Every single reply was just someone posting a time and a checkmark emoji. No one was asking questions. No one was joking. It felt orderly, controlled. I'll admit, I was creeped out, but I was also hyped. I'm a horror junkie. I figured it was some weird ARG, like that Cicada 3301 thing. Maybe something new for YouTube or TikTok horror. I thought I could figure it out and get a story of my own to tell. So what do? I pick up my phone and I call the number with my area code. Yeah, that number. The line was dead silent for about 6 seconds. No ringtone, just quiet. Then I heard my voice, not like a recording of me talking. Number. It was me. Same stutter. Same way I say when I'm nervous. It just said, he's ready. Then it hung up. I sat there frozen, staring at my phone like it had grown teeth. Okay, I thought. Cool little prank. Maybe it was voice cloned or something. I've messed with 11 Labs before. Maybe I triggered some script. But the thing that stuck with me, I never said that line anywhere. Not in a video, not on a stream, not even in a text. But that was me. I didn't sleep that night. I just kept checking the forum, waiting to see if the post changed. It didn't. But the next morning, I got a text from a blocked number. It said, Thursday, 4:11 p.m., Starbucks. Don't be late. No context. No name. Just that. Now, I live in downtown Chicago. There's a Starbucks literally every 6 steps, so I just ignored it. I figured it was spam, but the time stuck in my head. All day, like an itch under the skin. At 4:09 p.m., I'm walking home from CVS, and I see it. A guy in a hoodie, sitting outside a Starbucks, watching his phone like he's waiting for a lift. Normal looking dude. But as I walked past him, he looked up at me, locked eyes, and nodded. Not just a casual nod, like a signal, like he knew me. I kept walking, fast, but 30 seconds later, my phone buzzed again. Another text. You were late. No reply when I texted back. Just those 3 words. That night, I checked the forum again. My number was gone from the list. In its place, confirmed. What the hell did that mean? I haven't even told anyone this part yet, but my phone's been acting weird ever since. Random restarts. The flashlight turns on sometimes while it's sitting on my desk. My Spotify played a static track titled Room Tone 103-B while I was showering, and I swear I heard breathing behind it. And yeah, The breathing sounded like mine. I've still got 4 more parts to tell you. And trust me, it gets worse. Like, way worse. If this doesn't get buried, I'll drop part 2 tomorrow. But if you don't hear from me, yeah, don't ever call that number. It started raining the next morning. The kind of rain that feels wrong, not heavy or dramatic, just constant, quiet, like it was trying to muffle the sound of something moving underneath it. After that text, you were late. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing at random, but no notifications, no missed calls, just a buzzing, like it wanted to ring but didn't know how. And then came the voice memos. Yeah, voice memos. I didn't record them. They just showed up. I woke up at 3:41 a.m., phone on my pillow, screen lit, recording in progress. I tapped stop and played it back, heart already punching through my chest. The audio was just footsteps, on tile, sharp, echoing clicks, then silence, then my voice again, whispering, "Do it. You already said yes." I never said yes to anything, but that wasn't the worst part. The file was time-stamped at 3:38 a.m., 3 minutes before I woke up. So what? Was I talking in my sleep? Or did something else have my voice? Around noon, I finally caved and talked to someone. Sort of. I sent a DM on Reddit to this guy I follow, who's deep into dark web mysteries, goes by Deep Freeze Zeta. You've probably seen his threads. Urban explorer turned deep web whistleblower. I told him about the forum, the call, the text. I didn't expect a response. 10 minutes later, he replied, "You're in now. It doesn't stop. You're seen." I asked him what that meant. He didn't reply. Instead, he sent a single image. It was a screenshot from a security camera, one of those wide fisheye ceiling cams. The timestamp was from the night before. In the image, there was a guy standing outside a different Starbucks, one I'd never even been to. It was me. Same clothes I wore on Tuesday. Same backpack. I didn't go there. I swear to God, I didn't. I zoomed in and saw something that made my stomach freeze. My reflection in the glass wasn't me. It looked like me, yeah. Same build, same hair. But the eyes were wrong. They were wide open, completely bloodshot. And the reflection was smiling. I wasn't smiling in the actual footage. I turned off my phone and tossed it into the microwave, like that would somehow erase whatever the hell I'd just seen. I know how dumb that sounds, but when you feel like reality is breaking, your brain starts reaching for anything that might make it stop. That night, I went for a walk to clear my head. I live near the Riverwalk in Chicago. Pretty chill spot when you're not losing your mind. It was dead empty. Just wet pavement, distant traffic, and the sound of my own sneakers. I passed under a bridge, and that's when I saw her. A girl, late teens maybe, standing dead still on the opposite side of the river, under a lamp, white hoodie, head down, barefoot. I don't know why, but something in my head screamed, "Don't look at her face." She started walking, not toward me, with me, mirroring every step, perfectly. I turned right. She turned right. I stopped. She stopped. I stepped backward. She raised her head. From that far away, I shouldn't have seen her eyes, but I did. White, just white. No pupils, no irises, just empty sockets filled with this glowing fog. And her mouth was moving, fast, like she was whispering to someone I couldn't see. I ran. I didn't look back. Not once. I sprinted until I hit the McDonald's on State Street, crashed through the door like I'd been shot, and just collapsed at a booth near the window. The cashier was staring at me like I'd dropped out of a plane. I didn't care. I sat there for an hour, shaking, watching the street, waiting for her to show up again. She didn't. But when I checked my phone again, there was a new memo. It was 1 minute, 11 seconds long. No title. I pressed play. It was audio from inside the McDonald's. You could hear the cashiers, the kitchen timers, and my own breathing. Then a voice whispered, "We know where you feel safe." Nowhere is safe. I almost dropped my phone. I checked the file info. Created 11 minutes ago, while I was sitting in the booth. How the hell was it recording me? When I got back to my apartment, the door was already unlocked. I don't mean like I forgot to lock it. I triple lock my door. Always have. Living in downtown long enough teaches you that. But that night, it was open, not broken, not kicked, just ajar, waiting. There was something on my kitchen table, a printed photo, matte paper. It was a picture of me, from behind, taken from inside my own apartment. I turned around. No one was there, no sound, no movement. But there was something else now, on the fridge, written in what looked like burnt matchsticks, arranged carefully across the door. "Stop checking. You're not watching. You're being trained." I didn't sleep. I sat on my bed with a knife in one hand and a flashlight in the other. The shadows didn't move, but they felt heavier, like they were waiting for me to blink. At 4:11 a.m., my phone buzzed again. No number, just a name this time. M.E. That's all it said. I answered. There was no voice, no breathing, just a high-pitched hiss. But underneath it, layered deep in the background, I heard what sounded like chewing, wet, slow chewing. And then I heard my voice. "It's okay now. You're ready." Not a question, a statement. Like I had said it already, like it was part of a script. Then the line cut off. The next morning, I noticed something on the mirror. Tiny scratches, dozens of them, all clustered in the bottom corner like something had been scraping from the inside of the glass. I leaned in. They weren't random. They were words. "Let me out. I haven't left my apartment in 2 days." The call stopped, but the breathing hasn't. I keep hearing it, from behind the walls, from under the floorboards, from inside the goddamn mirror. And just now, while I was typing this, I got a new message, not on my phone, on my laptop. A pop-up, black screen, red text, no window, no tab, nothing open. Just this message. "You're not telling a story. You're leaking protocol." I'm starting to forget what my real voice sounds like. Not because I'm losing my mind, though maybe I am, but because my own voice keeps echoing back to me in ways that don't make sense. My phone, my laptop, my TV, everything I own talks to me now. Not with Siri, not with Alexa, not with any robotic voice assistant. It's always me, whispering, crying, screaming. The screams came yesterday. I don't know how to explain this without sounding insane, but if you've ever been watched for so long that you start to feel like you don't exist anymore, like your body's just meat in a box and your mind is the show, that's how it feels every second now. And the worst part, I think they've stopped watching. I think now they're controlling. I hadn't eaten in 36 hours. Couldn't. Not after what I found inside my fridge. I opened it on instinct, just looking for water, maybe a protein bar, anything to bring me back to earth. But the fridge was empty, except for a single paper napkin from Starbucks, folded neatly. There was something inside it. I opened it with shaking fingers and almost dropped it the moment I saw what it was. A fingernail. Human. Dirty. Bitten. still stained with skin under the edge, and scribbled on the napkin in greasy ink. Not yours. Yet. I vomited right there on the floor. The smell hit me like a sledgehammer. Rotten meat, ammonia, something wrong. I tried to flush the nail, but the water rejected it. I'm not kidding. I watched as the nail spun in the bowl and floated back up, pointing directly toward me, like a compass needle. That night, I got an email. No sender, no subject. It just said, break the glass, count to 7, follow yourself. Attached was a photo. It was a screenshot from my own bathroom, except the walls were covered in something I don't remember writing, all over, from top to bottom. You woke us up. The skin is a gift. The opposite of sleep is not awake. Feed the voice. I sprinted into the bathroom, but the walls were clean, until I looked in the mirror. That's when I saw the messages. Only in the reflection. They were scratched into the walls, but backwards, only visible in the glass. And behind me, there was something standing just out of frame. It moved when I moved, but it didn't mimic me. It lagged, delayed by a full second. That's not a reflection. That's a recording. At 2:33 a.m., the lights in my apartment flickered, and all the plugs surged at once. My microwave beeped. My TV turned on with static. My phone rebooted itself, screen going black and white, and then a new voice memo auto-played. This time, it wasn't my voice. It was hers, the girl from the Riverwalk. Her voice was high, sweet, but mechanically wrong. It sounded like a little girl being played through an old tape recorder underwater. He's not you anymore. He's soft now. Let's wear him. Then laughter. Not hers. Mine. Laughing like I was enjoying it. Laughing like I was already gone. I blacked out. I don't remember falling asleep. I don't remember dreaming. I don't remember waking up. But when I opened my eyes, I was in the bathtub, fully clothed, soaking wet. The water was freezing. There were claw marks on the inside of the tub, not scratches, gouges, like someone had been trying to climb out. And they weren't from fingers. They were teeth marks, small, sharp, human, and there was something etched into my chest, not carved, not written, branded. It looked like a symbol, 3 vertical lines with a circle around them, like a minimalist barcode. And below it, in almost perfect font-like symmetry, were the words, authorized copy 3 of 13. I couldn't even scream. I touched it, and it burned, like it was fresh. But there was no blood, just heat, and it pulsed when I tried to say my name. I left the apartment. I don't care if that was a mistake. I couldn't stay in there. I walked straight out barefoot into the rain, down to the nearest 7-Eleven, hoping for light, noise, people. There was a man behind the counter. Or I thought it was a man. He had no eyebrows, no hair, pale skin like wet paper, and he never blinked. Not once. I asked him if I could use the bathroom. He said nothing, just nodded. I went in, locked the door, and found the walls covered in handprints, but not full handprints, just palms, and all of them facing outward, like someone was pushing through from the other side. And the mirror, gone. In its place was a black rectangular screen. It flickered and turned on by itself. A video started to play. It was me, sitting in the same bathroom, wearing the same clothes, same soaked hair. But in the video, I turned to the camera and smiled. Then I whispered, copy number 4 just woke up. He's softer. Then the screen shut off. And when I looked at the door, it was gone. Not locked, not shut, gone. Just more wall. I turned around, panicking, heart pounding, and found a new message scrawled in red above the sink. Not paint, not blood. The body you're in is a lease. I don't know how I got out. I really don't. I must have blacked out again. When I woke up, I was in my bed, dry, warm, clean, like nothing happened. Except for one thing. I wasn't breathing, not in the normal way. My chest wasn't rising. Instead, every breath came from my mouth only. Shallow, controlled, as if someone was breathing for me. I screamed, or tried to, but nothing came out. My voice was gone. I ran to the mirror. The scratch marks were gone. But when I opened my mouth to scream again, I saw it. A thread, thin, black, tied around my uvula, tugging downward, like a marionette string. I'm not alone in this body anymore. There are others, copies, versions, some stronger, some faster, some better at hiding, and I think I've been selected. For what? I don't know. But my phone buzzed again just before I started writing this. A single message. It's your turn in the chair tomorrow. Don't look left when they strap you in. I don't know what that means, but every time I blink now, it takes longer to open my eyes again, like something is practicing, getting used to being me. If you're reading this and you've ever heard your own voice when no one else was there, don't ignore it. You might not be alone in your skin either. There's no sunlight anymore. I don't know if it's real or just how I see things now. I still get daylight, technically, but it's wrong. It looks like when you shine a flashlight through a thin sheet of skin, just pale orange and trembling. Nothing outside casts a shadow, and when I look out the window, the sky has veins. This will be the longest thing I've ever written, because this is when I stopped being me. This is when I met what came after. Yesterday. Was it yesterday? The message came back. Same screen flash. No notification. Just black background and red letters burned into the LCD. Sit in the chair, no matter what it looks like. The next line appeared slowly, like it was being typed in real time. If you run, the copy wins. I didn't want to move. I didn't want to breathe. But something in my body wasn't mine anymore. I stood up without thinking. My legs moved like they were responding to someone else's muscle memory. I blinked once, and suddenly I was standing in front of my own closet. There was no door, just a narrow black hallway where the coats used to hang. The walls pulsed like lungs, expanding slightly with each breath I took, and matching my heartbeat exactly. I stepped in. My phone didn't work. No flashlight. The hallway ate light like it was hungry. The further I walked, the more I realized the sound of my footsteps wasn't echoing. It was repeating. A half second after every step, I'd hear it again, like someone was walking behind me, just a little too slow. At the end of the hallway, I saw it. The chair. But it wasn't a chair. Not the way we think of one. It looked like something between a dentist chair and an electric chair, but older, wooden, soaked. The seat cushion looked used, darkened with years of something sticky, and strapped above it, suspended in metal, was a mask. Human face stretched over wires, like leather. It wasn't a device. It was waiting. I didn't want to sit. But the second I turned around to leave, I felt a warm breath on my neck. Long, slow, intentional, and something whispered in my voice, "If you run, I'll drive instead." I sat down. The second I made contact with the seat, the room changed. The walls peeled backward like skin retracting. Monitors blinked to life. A sharp smell hit me, like rust, hot breath, and burnt printer ink. And on the screen in front of me was me, from a different day, one I never lived. I was sitting in a cafe, laughing, drinking coffee with someone I didn't recognize. My hair was shorter, my eyes clearer, like whoever that was didn't have to carry this, didn't have to remember. That version of me stood up, hugged the person, and walked out. But the second he stepped through the door, he turned to the camera and said, "He's watching this now, isn't he?" The screen went black. The chair locked me in. Arms, legs, chest, head, tight metal clamps. I tried to scream, but something folded over my mouth from inside the mask, like a tongue that wasn't mine. And then the real nightmare started. The screen lit up again, except now, it was showing the inside of my apartment, in real time. The camera panned slowly, and I saw myself sitting on the bed, scratching at my arms, laughing. But I was here, in the chair, trapped, watching. He stood up, walked to the mirror, and began to pull something out of his own throat. It was string, thin, black, wet. He kept pulling, and when he was done, he held it up like a trophy. Then he whispered, "One of us has to die." And I understood. The copies are not simulations. They're replacements. They don't delete the original. They bury us. The machine began to print something, a sheet of paper, plain white. As it slowly came out, I could hear voices inside the walls, not speaking, chanting, repeating the same word over and over. Render, render, render. The paper was warm. I looked down. It was an invoice from a company called BODYSUBINC. Service, Behavioral Replication Rendering. Client, Internal Protocol. Subject, number 3 of 13. Flagged, original copy. Status, obsolete. Consume, draw, render. Underneath that, a signature. My name, signed in blood. I never signed anything. Not while I was awake. The chair unlocked. Everything faded. I woke up lying on my floor, back in my apartment. Lights on. Phone at 100%. But my reflection was still sitting in the mirror. Smiling. Not moving. Watching me. I waved. It didn't wave back. Instead, it tilted its head slowly, then pressed its palm against the glass. 5 bloody fingerprints left behind. Then the glass cracked, just slightly, in the shape of a spiral, and I heard it say, muffled through the mirror, "You are only allowed 13 lives." That night, I checked the old dark web forum again. The list was updated. All 13 numbers were now marked. Confirmed. Printed. Rendered. But there was a new thread below it. Title, Round 2, The Flesh Wants Friends. Inside, a list of new numbers, each with names. Mine was there, but the label next to it. Dead copy available for harvest. I'm not dead. I shouldn't be dead, unless the thing that walked out of the chair already replaced me. I don't know if this message is getting out. If you're reading this, check your mirror. Not right away. Wait a few minutes, then glance. And if your reflection blinks before you do, you've already lost. This is the last thing I'll ever post. And maybe it's not even me posting it. I should be dead. But every time I close my eyes, someone else opens them first. The only reason I'm still here, if this even is here, is because I made a mistake that they didn't account for. One of those weird, human, stupid things that AI programs, copies, whatever, they can't predict. I got scared. Not cautious, not paranoid. Pure primitive fear. The kind that makes your spine lock up and your skin forget how to belong to you. The kind that makes you cry before you know why you're crying. That's what saved me. But only for a little while. Because fear, they learned it. I found the 13th room by accident. Or maybe it found me. I don't even know anymore. I hadn't left the apartment in 3 days. Or 3 months. Time broke apart like wet paper after the chair. All my clocks were wrong. My oven said 11:61. My phone said 0:00:00:0 and counting up. The sun would rise and fall 3 times in 1 hour, like someone was scrubbing through reality with a remote. It was raining inside my walls. And then my closet door opened, the one that led to the hallway. But now, it was different. There was no hallway, just a concrete room, wet, fluorescent, humming like a hospital that forgot it was closed. The air inside didn't smell. It tasted like pennies and static. Taped to the wall was a sheet of paper, ripped, singed around the edges. It said, "If you see the room, you've been selected to host. Entry is consent." I stepped inside, because of course I did, because I had to know, because the thing in my mirror had started knocking. The door vanished behind me. The 13th room was exactly that. Room 13. Like in a cheap motel. Just a single door in a long, infinite hallway of nothing. No floor, no sky, just void. But when I opened the door, it wasn't a room. It was all of them, every version of me I'd never lived. Copy 1, hanging from a ceiling, blood pooling beneath a knocked-over chair. He looked peaceful, until his head twitched up and smiled at me, eyes milky. Copy 2, sitting in a therapist's office, except the therapist was just a wall of black static that breathed. Copy 5, dressed in my clothes, but inside out, skin on the wrong side, eyes in the mouth, still blinking. Each door, each copy, each outcome, rendered, observed, tagged, and all of them were waiting for me to finish the set. I was copy 3, and I hadn't been rendered yet. The deeper I walked, the more the air felt like thick cloth, like I was walking through the inside of someone's lungs. Then came the whispers, soft, fluttery, childlike, like a kindergarten class practicing my name over and over. Then the lights changed, harsh, greenish-white, like those interrogation rooms in old cop shows. And I saw it, a wall of faces, just faces, tacked to the wall like masks, skin pressed flat, eyelids stapled open, mouths sealed with barcodes instead of lips. And in the middle, mine, my real face, but aged, decomposed, crawling with something thin and white, like centipedes made of hair. Underneath it, carved into the cement, were the words, "Final copy will host the rest." Then came the sound, not a scream, not a laugh, but something between the two. And it was coming from behind my ears, inside my skull. I turned around, and there it was, the archivist, not a person, not a machine, something else. 12 arms, human, rotting, some tattooed like mine, one still wearing my old wristwatch. But the head was just a blank monitor, flickering static. When it spoke, it played clips of my own voice, from old texts, from phone calls, from voice memos, stitched together like ransom notes. "You said yes before. Remember, render, I tried to run, but there was no floor anymore, just a pit, a writhing nest of screaming mouths, all shaped like mine. And the worst part, they weren't screaming to be saved, they were screaming to be let out. I woke up in bed again, exactly like the last time, but this time the air smelled like meat, and the lights wouldn't turn on. I turned my phone flashlight on, heart rattling in my chest, and looked around. There were things moving under my skin, like air bubbles, traveling, shifting, rearranging. I ran to the bathroom and peeled my shirt off, stared in the mirror, and saw the message glowing beneath my flesh, like ink injected under my veins. It said, Host status confirmed. Then the skin on my face smiled. Not me, just the skin. It stretched without muscle, the rest of my body frozen. I blinked, and it didn't. Now the copies don't hide anymore. They leave me notes. They leave me teeth. I found my own tongue in the freezer yesterday, wrapped in foil, labeled archived. Sometimes I'll wake up and the furniture will be backwards. Other times I'll open the door to my apartment and step into a video recording of my life. I've watched myself eat, sleep, scream. The last note they left me was on my pillow. When they read your story, you'll wake up again. Let them open the final door. So this, all of this, was the final rendering. You're reading it, which means it's working. They're watching you now, because it's not about me anymore. I was just the third copy, and they need 13. If anything changes in your apartment tonight, if you blink and your reflection doesn't, if you hear your voice on the radio, if you find something under your tongue when you wake up, don't run. Running feeds it. Just sit down. Don't speak. Don't scream. And when you get the message, sit in the chair, no matter what it looks like. Remember me, or whatever's left. End of transmission. Copy 3. Obsolete. Host. Complete new candidate scanning. Processing. Rendering copy 4.